Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. I'm so excited for this month's Ask Kate Anything. This month, we have our special guest, Annette Bond, and we'll be presenting on Career Couture, how your style can set you up for success. So as you're coming in, be sure to collect any questions that you might have. This is also a great opportunity for you to ask general career and personal branding and style questions during our interview discussion. So feel free to drop those in the chat. And I would love to get started by introducing the lovely Annette Bond. Annette, would you take a moment and introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about your area of expertise?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Annette Bond, and I am a personal style expert. I have this passion for helping women to truly step into their best self. And it really starts with the uniqueness of who you are. It's honoring who you are, and then building an intentional wardrobe that aligns with your uniqueness, your strengths, and who you are, and using style as an opportunity to open doors of unlimited opportunities and feeling that confidence. And I think that's more than anything is our style is about that, being able to walk into a room, radiate that confidence, forget about what you're wearing, and go do what you do best.
Yes, I love that. And to a point that we were talking about earlier before we started live, I was sharing that after I had my daughter, I was around 30, 31, I felt like I lost my sense of style. I felt like I was dressing in a way that I thought society expected new mothers to dress, and it wasn't me. If you've seen me in any of my posts or the way I dress, it's very authentic to who I am, my bubbly personality, but it was stifled back then. So I think really understanding who we are as authentic individuals and being able to express who that is
Yes.
through our style is really exciting. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think a really good place to start is by clarifying how having a unique personal style contributes to building a robust and positive personal brand.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to a definition that I love of personal branding. And that is, a personal brand is the process of creating and communicating a unique and memorable identity that showcases your values, skills, and personality. And so many times we think, oh, okay, that's toward my professional or my professional business, if you will, or my position. But our outer appearance is a piece of that. It's not all of it, but it's a piece of that. And so one of my personal philosophies and how I work with women is, I believe that style begins with the woman and not the clothes. So it's beginning with that awareness of who you are, what are your strengths, what are your skills, what do you value? And then we start that process of what's that alignment with clothing? And I know earlier, one of the words I'm going to use is, how do you want to represent yourself? And, you write resumes, you're a brand strategist. And I say, how do you want to represent yourself with your clothing? And so it's all interconnected. That's the thing.
I love that. It is interconnected. And I'm excited to dive into how we can discover or reclaim what our signature style is and be able to leverage that in a way that does boost our confidence. Because I think all of us can attest this. When we're wearing something that we feel like we look good in, that's comfortable, that fits us right, it does bring a level of confidence that we wouldn't have if we weren't, polished in appearance. So I love that too. I think that makes a big difference, especially for those of you out there in the audience who are interviewing. having confidence and projecting that confidence is absolutely critical. So the way that you dress and present yourself is really critical.
You know, it's so subconscious. We feel differently about ourselves when we walk in the room, and there's that internalness of how we feel about ourselves. Others feel that. So it's just not being confident with our skills. We're a package, right? It's
Yes.
all of us. It's not just one thing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I'd love to hear any stories that you might have about transformations, or maybe a client that you've worked with in the past whose work with you impacted their signature style or look in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of stories. So the first step is about being intentional. And when I say being intentional is, how do you want to represent yourself? What do you want others to know about you?
Right.
You know, what's working in your wardrobe right now? And so it's almost setting that foundation and understanding that first, having an awareness about yourself. This is, I mean, it sounds, sometimes I think it sounds trivial, but when we ask people, like, what do you love about yourself? What do you want others to know about yourself? And I have to tell you, there's a lot of times women just kind of stop and like, I'm not sure. Because we look to the outside to get sometimes validation versus that inside. So I'm just kind of setting that stage, if you will. So I want to talk about this one client. And even to this day, we were just on the phone and we were talking about when I first started working with her. And I'll never forget this. She said, Annette, I want to be that woman. When I walk in the room, I want to be that 1% woman.
Ooh.
She said, I work with a lot of men. And it wasn't about, I want to be seen, see me, see me. It was about excellence. And we still talk about that. She has told me her number one value for her company. I'm not sure what that is. Are you
It
hearing
was
a?
just a blip. I just heard a minor blip. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Her values of her company, she's the CEO of her company. Her number one value is excellence. And so knowing that, we need to transcend that into her wardrobe. And so with that intention of curating pieces and how she wanted to show up, it needed to be excellence. And so what started transpiring is we started adding more quality to her wardrobe. She had some great pieces. They were very classic, but she'd had them in her closet maybe 10 years or so.
Sure.
And she needed to update. She needed that quality. She needed a refresh. So what even started happening is, she said, Annette, I would walk into a boardroom and people would think I was the owner. I had people commenting on how I was showing up. I was being treated differently. So it also gave her the confidence to reach out to additional projects to, you know, for marketing, to bring more business into her company. So, you know, it's so interesting. She had also done, I will say this, she'd also done a lot of inner work. And I'll say this a lot about women is, you are smart, you're intelligent, you're amazing. And you look in the mirror and you go, okay, something's kind of off here. I feel amazing on the inside, but I don't feel aligned on the outside. And so that was a big step that that we needed to work on.
So let me ask you this. Because I think both of us work with a lot of executive level women
Yes.
who need to look polished and professional. If we're thinking about women in general who are in these senior leadership positions and they want to project excellence, for example, what are maybe one or two core pieces that someone might incorporate in their wardrobe to sort of give that vibe? Would it be a blazer? Would it be a pencil skirt? What would that look like in terms of a couple core quality pieces as you refer to them?
I would say a jacket. And the
Mhm.
reason why is a jacket, think of it's like kind of your armor. Jackets are always very powerful. And so that excellence also comes down to quality. It comes down to the way it fits you. For example, your sleeve length. Where are your sleeve lengths? How is it fitting you through the bust? How is
Yeah.
it fitting you through the shoulder? So, you know, I think a jacket is always super powerful. Absolutely.
Ooh, I do love a really like almost like a statement piece. I like a
Yes.
jacket, but I like it to have a little flair to it so it doesn't look like everyone else's black blazer out there or
Yes.
jacket. So I think that's a lot of fun. And I feel like blazers or jackets in general are something that is worth making an investment on, that it is something if you choose a classic style that it's something that you could wear for a few years. Is that typically what you're seeing with trends now, or is this more of we need to be keeping up on an annual basis?
Oh, I'm absolutely what you just said, is buying great classic pieces.
Mhm.
And yes, you can make them your own. And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later because I'd love to
Yes.
talk about that. Is it's not about being a cookie cutter, about everybody needs to look the same. I mean, if you're familiar with back in the day, John Malloy of Dress for Success, and there were so many rules. And that, you know what,
Mhm.
that is so passe, right? That is not how things are right now.
Good.
It's incorporating your personality, and I mean, it's like your business.
Yeah.
Quirk. I mean, to me, it
Yeah.
says it all when you say, I love unique. I knew when I met
Mhm.
you, you love
Yeah.
unique. It was just by the name of your business. So
Sure.
it's really honoring that. Absolutely. I was just going to into another story. I had another gal kind of on that same note is she was in the marketing, and she never thought of her as we started going through kind of really uncovering the uniqueness of her.
Uh-huh.
And I said, as it kind of came out, and I said, Samaya, it sounds like you love creativity. Like you're a creative person. And she stopped and she goes, oh my gosh, I never thought of myself as a creative person. But on my team at work, everybody would always say, give it to Samaya. She's the creative one. But she wasn't bringing that to her dress. And
Oh,
so that was yeah, I know. It sounds like, oh, seriously? But there wasn't
right.
that awareness. And so, as we worked together, that was a lot of what we brought in. She wanted that uniqueness. And then there was this feeling of, I love my wardrobe. I'm bringing that creativity to my work. And I also feel amazing in my clothes.
Woo, that's so fun. So, this creativity or being seen as a creative came from external folks around her before she kind of realized, oh yeah, why isn't it reflected in my wardrobe?
Yeah.
um, so I find that's really interesting. So do you find that with your clients, should we be asking our friends like, how do you see my personality? Like, should we be doing these little checks to see how other people view us in terms of what our strengths are, what our personality is? Or should we be doing more of that inner work and consulting with a personal stylist like yourself to really uncover those things? Or both?
I think both. I mean, I've done many a coaching programs. Many times when we can't see that thing, that our special sauce, that uniqueness in us, others see it. I mean, you can never go wrong with that. But I think even that inner work of going truly, who am I? You know, I'm a passionate person. I value beauty. I'm a woman of strength. I mean, I'm talking about myself right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, so many times we have to honor that and go, yes, this is who I am. And when you look in the mirror and you say, am I honoring that woman?
Right. Right. I think we do need to be asking ourselves that on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things advice you had asked about if you're struggling to find that is, I have a little exercise. I want you to take a selfie of yourself and take a full length picture of yourself. So this is your before picture.
Okay.
And then I want you to identify a few words. What is part of your identity? And I do this exercise many times with women, and I call it your t-shirt word. And if I were to give you a blank white t-shirt and you could put one word, how would you describe yourself?
Wow. That's kind of tricky. I bet a lot of people struggle with that.
They do. And this is what I'm talking about the essence of you. It could be something you value, one of your strengths.
Right.
And then I want you to go back to that selfie and say, and ask yourself, am I representing my t-shirt word in that selfie right there?
I was thinking to myself that mine was bold. And I'm like, as you're saying that, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe I need to touch up a little bit and become a bit more bold in my attire. I mean, I wear a bold lip, but maybe I need to neutralize that a bit and do something fun.
Let's just talk about that. I think that's a great example. Some people think, okay, you put the word bold, that you need to dress head to toe bold. You do not. You do not. Because sometimes we need to honor who we're working with. And you could, I say this because as a strong woman myself, we can overwhelm people, right? With our strength. So one of my words is strength. And so that bold lip, that tells me who you are, because not everybody feels comfortable with a bold lip. So it could just be an element. So it doesn't have to be the full out head to toe. It's kind of like going into fall, red is big. It doesn't mean you have to wear a full on, red dress, red shoes. It could be the red lip. It could be a red bag. It could be a red jacket, whatever that might be, a bold for you. It could even be a shoe, a statement shoe. So it's honoring that element. And I want to say that it's an element.
Yes.
If you want to go full on, awesome, do that. It doesn't have to be.
I think I'm probably a 1 to 2 accessory type of person. I think I've mentioned to you before, and I probably even included in a post, I don't see myself as like the trendiest person. And probably a good majority of us out there, we're not stylistas, but we do want to be on trend. We want to look like we're current and polished. So I think that your advice of just making 1 or 2 accessories or a bold lip or the shoe, I think makes a lot of sense and is less intimidating when you are reclaiming or establishing what your signature style is. So I love that advice.
Yes.
One question I have for you is, our audience is made up of people that represent all sorts of different industries and fields. How does your profession impact or influence your signature style or impact it?
Okay. So a couple examples with that. No, it's a great question. In the fact of, so I believe there, I mean, it's very multifaceted about when we're developing our signature style. I begin with, and it's part of my program, I call it the power of you. And so we've been kind of talking about that, is understanding and claiming who you are. And because when you can own who you are, that's the first step. And then the second part is thinking about, we kind of touched on this, but how do you want to represent yourself? You do have to think about your industry that you're in. So for an example, I'm going to be meeting with a client right after this, and she's a financial advisor. So she needs, with her company, she needs to develop trust. She is supportive with her clients. And so I am not going to dress a full on, and let's go back and use a scenario of whether it's bright pink or bright red to that client when I'm trying to gain trust.
Right.
And it may be in the colors of a beautiful camel. It may be navy. It may be a jacket. There may be something a little bit more traditional in your dress. A piece, again, an element. It doesn't have to be full on traditional, but that gains the trust, because things that are classic, we just, there's something comforting about that. And then
maybe a sense of familiarity.
Yes. And then there's going back to the whole marketing is, okay, I'm in this industry. It gives me a little bit more leeway that I could be a little more fashion forward, because you're here to be a little bit more innovative, right? You're here to be more creative. So use your industry, be cognizant, because that is a piece of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that distinction. And, you know, in your opinion, this is something I struggle with. How important is consistency in your look or your style in terms of bolstering your personal brand? I mean, I slip up. Like most meetings, I'll admit I'm not always like, you know, dressed with a jacket. I might be wearing a shell like I'm wearing now, or even more casual. It depends on the situation. So how important is being consistent with that look? Break it down for us.
Okay, so I don't think it's that you show up every time with a jacket, because I don't. I decided today to wear a jacket, and I love beautiful blouses. Sometimes I just wear a blouse. So it's not about wearing the same thing every time. I give this example. I remember this gal I was working with, and she said, okay, Annette, I need help. I feel like when I go to my closet, I have 12 different personalities in my closet. And so what that means is, so where I'm going with this is consistency is most women, and we kind of, when I work with you, it's finding out what is that signature style that is you. Are you more of that free spirit, really creative, really uniqueness? Are you a sportier kind of gal? Are you that really timeless classic? Is elegance something that you really value because of the excellence and quality? So to me, there's more consistency in you honoring you than the piece itself, versus you're all over the board. One day you're wearing a really classic suit, and the next day you're wearing really boho, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, who is this girl? So that's where I would go, is honoring you. If your clothes don't need to all look the same, but it's honoring you of how you're representing yourself.
So being authentic to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's a great answer. That's the one I was hoping to hear. It makes me feel better. I hope I'm not the only one out there struggling. I need you to come go through my closet. Although, you know I have outdated pieces in there that need to be removed. I'm sure that you've worked with a lot of clients who've had things that they needed to let go of that maybe they weren't so keen on letting go of. Does that ever happen?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. We all have favorites.
One of the things I have people that what I want to say is I give to them and they'll mirror back to me later is thank you, Annette, for giving me the permission to let go of this. And so I want to go back, and I'm just going to use this as such a, it sounds so simplistic, but it can be really powerful, that t-shirt word. Is so if you're going through your wardrobe, and we'll use your word bold, and you put on that piece, that piece of clothing, and you're kind of on the fence, is this something I want to keep? And going back to that t-shirt word, does it fit into that signature of what I want others to know about me? So I use like the little shell. I mean, I love and I really believe that we all need those really basic, core, simple pieces, and then we add to them. So for an example, like your basic shell, you instead of, you could wear the bold lipstick, but you could wear this a necklace, you know, that has some drama to it. So do these pieces represent that boldness of Kate? Or
I was just thinking, oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, then that is kind of your thermostat, if you will. You know what? I'm ready to release this. It served me for a time, and now I'm giving it permission. It needs to leave my closet. So because we as women, I think we forget this, is we have these pieces from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, could be 2 years ago. And it's like, I wore it so much and it represented who I was then, but we're always evolving. And so it's okay to let go of that piece, bring in a new piece that makes you feel vibrant and passionate and bold about who you are right now.
That's actually one of my rules, is when I buy something new, a new article of clothing, I need to select something out of my closet to donate.
Yes.
And that has served me well. And, you know, to your point about keeping in mind what that t-shirt word is, and mine being bold, I think what I'm going to do, I'm a sticky note girl. I think what I'm going to do is put bold on a sticky note and put it in both my walk-in closets, so that every time I go there to like try something on or pick out an outfit for the night, I can check, you know, is this really in line with how I'm like hoping to present my personality? Like, I love that. I think that's such a simple thing that we can all do to make sure that we're honoring ourselves authentically.
I was just going to pause for a minute, just for people who are listening. Are you just that one word? No. We are multifaceted human beings. I just want to say that. But I think if that is one thing that you so honor, then then you value that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think making that distinction is important. It just as saying that, you know, our style or the way that we dress is just one element of our personal brand, right? It's just one piece of it.
Yes.
So how do you find this balance between a client's preferences and their comfort level and helping them develop a signature style that stands out? Not necessarily says, hey, look at me, but says I'm unique and different from my peers. How do you balance that out, people's preferences for comfort and stepping out to really embrace their style?
Do you know, I mean, this sounds really like it doesn't make sense. Is I am here to help a woman literally create, curate, design, shop for a wardrobe that makes her feel like her, that makes her feel like $1 million. And at the end of the day, forget about her wardrobe.
Ooh.
And so what I mean by that is women get very stressed about their clothing, about their closet, about what am I going to wear today? And it's being very intentional in creating this wardrobe that this is so me. I feel so comfortable in it that when you walk out the door, you stop thinking about your style. So I'm not here to make women a fashionista. I'm here to help them to align with that inner self and the outer self so that the two come together and it's just so natural.
I think we can all appreciate the thought of having a closet where when we walk in and we choose our clothes for the day, it doesn't take long because we already know that what we have in our closet makes us feel good about ourselves and presents us in the way that we want to be presented.
Yes. And it is, I think there's a piece that we need to update, go back and say, okay, again, going back, I wore this jacket for so many years. It's time to give it away. Or maybe you've gained some weight, or maybe you've lost some weight and you need to do some tailoring, or maybe you just need to replace that great pair of black pants. So it's constantly kind of managing your wardrobe so that you're in this places. And yes, and add updated pieces for the season, like the new colors, the new Pantone colors that are coming out, or maybe there's a style of, I'm just thinking maybe there's a print that we're seeing a lot of and that you want to add for the season, but you bring it in, it's invited in to come and be part of the rest of your wardrobe. It's not, I'm trying to be this on-trend stylish person, but it comes in, it just complements everything else.
That makes sense. So I think that is, for me, it's refreshing. Okay, I don't have to be the trendiest person out there to be authentic and to honor my style. That makes me feel good. So if I want to, let's say I'm one of your clients, I want to rebuild my wardrobe, or I at least want to start establishing the foundation of a wardrobe that really feels like me. As we're moving into fall, what are one or two pieces that our audience members should consider adding to their wardrobe or updating that would be fashion forward for the fall, but also potentially appeal to a fairly broad audience? Would it be a type of shoe for fall? Would it be a jacket? You mentioned red is a hot color for fall. I'm dying to know what else is going on.
Well, this is okay. I'm going to give the example of a pair of black pants. We all have a pair of black pants, and we could wear that same black pant over and over and over. So what I'm going to suggest is start looking at that black pant. You could go to another neutral. I mean, you could go to navy. You could go to, we're still kind of in the summer if you want to add a pair of white. But I'm going to suggest add new silhouettes. So it might be more of a flare leg. It might be, it's just the style of the pant. Maybe it has a little bit of texture in it, but it's still a black pant, or it could be a jean. It's adding a new silhouette of that same color that works so well for you. So it just feels like your wardrobe is more expanded, if you will. Is adding some new silhouettes. It's so interesting, the whole jacket. So I bring jackets up because it's such an easy piece that you can wear with a pair of jeans, that you can wear year round and add, change up your top, change up your accessories, bringing in the boot instead of the sandal. Last year, and they're still continuing this year with a pair of shoes, is the loafer. I mean, that was a big shoe that was popular last year. It's continuing this year. Again, it's a different silhouette. And this is what I'm also finding just since COVID is women are looking for more comfort, but quality and elegant. And that's exactly what happened with the whole loafer. That's what I believe.
Makes sense.
I'm from Seattle, and I have a gal in our mall, and she has this beautiful shoe store, and everything's from Italy. And the store is full of, like the sneakers, but it's a dressed up sneaker. It's not your running shoe, and they can be worn with dresses.
Yes.
can be
I'm a
worn with
huge
your
fan.
jeans. So I think it's looking at that classic piece you've always worn, whether it's the black jean or your shoe or your jacket, and start looking at different silhouettes, and that will bring a lot of more interest into your wardrobe and more fun. We're still we're seeing for fall, we're seeing brights and kind of muted colors. So we're still seeing pink. I mean, it's so funny. If you when you go onto my website, AnnetteBond.com, you're going to see me all over with the bright pink and fuchsia. You see me, I'm in a softer version today, but it's still going into fall. I know you've been talking about the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
And that signifies for me passion. Like, why do I wear that? But not every woman's into that. And I know one of our, whenever you're ready, we were going to talk about the quiet luxury. We'll talk about that. But so you don't have to follow, this is what we're supposed to wear. I keep saying this. You know what? The rules, I've been in this business for 30 years. And when I started, it was about the rules. And there's no rules now. It's really honoring you, honoring your industry that you're in, honoring your lifestyle. That's another thing we didn't talk about. So when I'm talking about the silhouettes, is honoring your lifestyle. A lot of workplace is more casual, right?
Right.
And so I'm not telling you what you should wear. I want you to go back and start being very intentional about who you are, what you want to represent with your wardrobe, and then thinking about your lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And one thing that I've taken into consideration is I like to travel. And when I was traveling internationally, I wanted to know, what are women wearing? Not necessarily so I could fit in, but so that I wouldn't necessarily stand out, but that I could incorporate something that might be regional, but also kind of have my own thing going. And I was relieved to learn about the white sneaker trend. And I will confess, I have at least 5 different pairs of classic white leather sneakers.
Okay.
And I rotate them out once they're no longer polished and white, but I love them because they are so versatile. So I love that trend came up. Do you ever see, so I think the lifestyle thing makes a lot of sense. Do you ever see any downsides to having, for example, like a distinct style?
No. Do you know, this is something really interesting. I'm gonna say it in this way. One of the things that I teach when you start building your wardrobe is I always honor what you already have. But to start building your wardrobe around 3 to 4 colors. And why I say that is because there's this wonderful magic that happens when you do that, is everything starts mixing and matching with ease. So within those 3 colors, we'll talk about 3 colors, you add texture, you add pattern, you add, it just it makes it more interesting. And I found a lot of clients, and I'm not telling them they have to, but we're starting like that. And you can always add more color, but they're really finding they like it because it's like everything goes together, and it just takes a lot of stress out of trying to mix and match 10 colors in your wardrobe. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you can't do that. So I do have a lot of clients. There's some that are very much into neutrals. I have one client, we're into navies and light blues and whites, and we'll put a little bit of blush in there. I have one client who's into black and ivory and taupe. And so there's no one right answer. Everything I do is very customized and honoring. And that's when, I want you to love going into your closet, feeling like $1 million, and go do your day, go be successful, go be you.
I think what's so surprising and delightful about our conversation is I'm realizing that there is so much inner work and self-awareness that goes into having a polished signature style. And so, and I say that because we think of style as being kind of surface level
Yes.
or material, but when it is a reflection of who you are and your level of comfort and your lifestyle, then I do think it fits into your whole life a lot better and just makes you feel better as an individual. So I love that you're emphasizing that when you're working with clients, it's more than just, how do you want to look or what colors do you like? It's how do you want to reflect and what colors actually represent your personality? And I love what you had to say about just choosing. And I realize that there aren't any really hard and fast rules with this, but choosing a few different colors and sticking with those as being central or foundational to your wardrobe. I was just thinking about my closet and I'm like, okay, so I should go. And I guess I'll probably already see a pattern, but I think that moving forward, it will guide me if I like jewel tones. So maybe I'm black and blue and purple or green or something. So those types of colors, instead of feeling like I have to incorporate these things that might be trendier than really what I feel comfortable wearing. So, okay. So anyways, I just wanted to, mention that really resonated with me, and I'm sure it did with a lot of people in our audience. Now, one thing you mentioned, and we've both been dying to talk about this, and I know a lot of people have wondered about it too. Quiet luxury. What is it? What are examples of it? And how might the modern woman or even the modern man incorporate one or two of these pieces into our wardrobes moving into fall?
I have to be really honest. When I heard this saying, what do I want it saying? And I went, oh, okay. And even through my image group and coaching, we did a whole training on this. And I thought, I've been doing this all along. It just didn't have a name. And so every client I work with, it doesn't matter what their level of budget is. I have found that when you can raise the quality of your clothing, it actually fits better. It fits better. Women can feel it. Yeah. There's just something about it that you feel differently. I talked about that before. It's about how are you feeling from the inside out when you walk into a room. Yeah. And so quiet luxury came about, and to really honor quiet luxury, you do have to value excellence. That's part of it. So if you have, yes, that is one of my values, or maybe you're like, I've never really thought of it, but I do want to incorporate more of that excellence. It really is about developing a wardrobe, and I'm going to kind of go through of beautiful fabrics, cashmere, wool, silk. And so many women say they want that, but it's an investment. Yes. It is an investment. And we say we want natural fabrics. It's timeless silhouettes. It's tailored to perfection. I've mentioned many of this through this presentation. It's a neutral color palette. So like my client I was telling you about, excuse me, when she decided to do her wardrobe in black, ivory, and camel, that was way before this quiet luxury came out. And it is because there's this ease with it. It's a very understated elegance. It's great, and they become investment pieces. Now, it's not to say you can't do quiet luxury and still add a pop of color, but it really, the whole feel and of quiet luxury, it's kind of my 1% woman. It's that woman who walks into a room, her colors are camel and ivory, maybe she has some black in there, and you're like, okay, she is not standing out in her bright pink, but I can just tell by the way she's wearing that outfit, that is a quality woman. And so you have to start thinking about these pieces as price per wear. That's how so
Ooh.
I started saying is everyone I work with, I always try to elevate them one step. So for
Mhm.
example, you may be somebody who's used to spending $200 on a jacket.
Mhm.
And I say, you know what? I'm going to introduce you to this brand.
Mhm.
And it's $6.95. And you're going to go, oh my God, like that's triple what I pay for a jacket. But if
Right.
you wore that jacket, I mean, I can't do the math right here, but if you wore that jacket, you know, once a week, twice a week, and you felt like $1,000,000 and that jacket lasted you for 5 years, you know how, you know, how are you representing yourself and the cost per wear? You have to start looking at that. It's how it makes you feel, and it's the way it hangs on your body. And
So I love that because I was just kind of doing like some super quick math in my head, and I don't want anyone to double check it because it's going to be off. But if you're talking about, you know, a $700 jacket, you wear it once a year. I mean, you're talking about 12, 13 bucks a wear. And frankly, who doesn't spend $7 on an iced latte at Starbucks? And that only lasts you what, 15, 20 minutes? You get to wear the jacket all day, and then you get to wear it again and again. So I actually love this. Unfortunately, I'm going to be using this to justify all of my clothing purchases, not just the luxury pieces that I invest in.
so, do you know what? Think about too. And I want to get too deep into this, but combining
Yeah.
high low. So, start with a piece and start. It might be this beautiful. We're keep using the example of a jacket. It's this beautiful jacket, but it's a great pair of pants that you spent $100 on. You didn't spend 300, but you spent 100. They still fit
Yep.
great. It's still going to look amazing. And you know, this is an interesting thing. I learned this years ago, thinking about the whole cost per wear is so many women don't think about like, oh, okay, I have this special event and I've got to get this to die for dress. And you go to
Right.
Nordstrom's and you pay $300 or $400 for this dress. Okay,
Right.
let's say you pay $300. Okay, then that you haven't bought your $200 shoes and you have not bought the accessories to go with it. And so all of a sudden now you are close to $1,000 for this one outfit. And how often do you wear that outfit? Twice a year,
Right.
once a year? And so start thinking about those investment pieces, it giving yourself permission to buy that. I have to tell you, $6.95 it's not like top of the line. I mean, you can go
Right.
to, there's a brand, it's called The Row. I mean, you're going to be paying $1,200 for a jacket. So, you know, it's interesting. It's all relative. And I know we all have our sense of what we think we should spend. But I just invite anybody who's listening to go into a store and to try on when I say luxury piece, something that you would normally not give yourself permission. Once you get used to that quality and the way it fits and hangs on your body, oh my gosh, you will never go back. And I've always believed in fewer pieces and more options. And it kind of goes along with this quiet luxury. It's not having this huge wardrobe, but it's those fewer pieces that are amazing and that you just feel like $1,000,000 in.
And that can be really versatile, like a jacket or a really classic black pant.
Yeah, your black, it can
Or
be a
shoes
beautiful,
even.
yeah, your shoes, a beautiful silk blouse that maybe it's a beautiful blush or it's a ivory cream and you can wear it with anything and you just change up your necklace or you change up your jacket. But it's those pieces that are so versatile, but they are a luxury fabric. Yes.
I love that. And I think for those of us who are on a budget, which is a lot of people, then this idea of, what did you call it? Mixing a combination.
High low.
High
So
low. I
start
love
with
that
that
concept.
investment piece and then put it with another pair of pants or blouse that is perfectly fine. That's what I always do. I mean, my whole wardrobe isn't quiet luxury, but it's very high low. Yeah.
Well, so how do you keep abreast of all these trends? I mean, and what advice would you give to the rest of us who, maybe we don't have a ton of time to dedicate toward learning about style? What would you suggest in terms of keeping abreast, and how do you stay on top of things?
You know, I am always, I mean, I love seeing what's coming out every season. And
Yeah.
I love, I mean, even myself, I look in my closet and I'm like, okay, I don't need any more clothes. And you women, you probably look in your closet, you're like, I have so many clothes. But first of all, we need
Yeah.
to get the clothes that are working well for us and let go of those pieces that aren't working well. But it is amazing when you add one or two new pieces a season. I mean, if you just added a new pair of shoes, and
Mhm.
I'm not into that everyone needs a pair of loafers. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But or that new silhouette jean, how that makes you wear it with your already blouse you love, and you put the
Yeah.
jeans on and it just feels refreshed. It's so interesting how one or two pieces can refresh your closet truly instantly. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, 20 years ago, I had my business partner at the time introduced me to designer jeans, and I've never turned back. I couldn't believe that I hadn't been making the investment in nice jeans because they fit so much better. The material is better, it stretches nicer, it doesn't fade as
No.
quick. I mean, everything makes your butt look better. Everything you want jeans to do, designer jeans or well-made jeans or tailored jeans really, really can make an impact. So I love that.
Yeah. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of it is the fabric, the fabrication, how it's made. And it's like, okay, why do I go to Target and I see that
Right.
dress and it's like, God, that's cute. It's on the rack, right? And you
Right.
put it on and you're like, but gosh, it doesn't fit like that. It looks the same, but it's the
Yeah.
way it's cut, it's the fabric, it's the fabric content that they use.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit the same.
And the thing is, this honestly impacts my self-esteem. Not a ton, but think about it. When you go and try a bunch of clothes on and they've been produced for the masses, they don't fit your body the way that they should because they've been produced to accommodate a very large population. And I think when you have maybe a mid-priced piece, even if you have it tailored to
Yes.
fit you, if it's got decent material, you can work with that. So I think that's a really good point to
That
make as
is a
well.
magical tip, what you just said. I live with my tailor, and it can be as simple as I remember one time I kept looking at this jacket, and I'm like, why don't I like this jacket? There's
Yeah.
something about it. And you know what it was? It was the
Huh.
arms. I had her take the arms in. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden I
And
love it.
that
It looks
did
like,
it.
and so many people think, and I love what you just said about that, is the mass is just because you wear a size 10 doesn't
Mhm.
mean it's going to fit your 10 body, because every 10 looks different. So
Exactly.
having things altered should be part of managing your wardrobe.
Yes, and even having along with that, I found that in investing in shoes, having a cobbler who knows how to repair shoes is great for keeping your investment
Yes.
if you're a shoe
Yes.
person too. So I would say
Yep.
add that to your list of folks that you rely on. Um, we're kind of coming up to the end. So if anyone has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to put up a slide. If you want to reach out to Annette or I've put our contact information, our LinkedIn profiles, as well as Annette's website. Annette, before we wrap up, I believe that you had something that our audience might benefit from if they're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my style. It's called Get Style Confident Now Guide. And if
Ooh.
they go to AnnetteBond.com, they can go straight there and they'll see a little download. But you can go AnnetteBond.com/style confidence. And I talk about some of the things that we talked about today about aligning. I talk about the t-shirt word, but I go into a little bit more with color and about your
Mhm.
lifestyle. And so this is kind of a step one, if you will, to kind of some little exercises that they can do after they've gone through it. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you have that for our audience. And I just wanted to point out, we just had a quick question asking about wigs. I think this is a really good one because people wear wigs for a lot of different reasons. What's your advice? And I think this is a really general question. So Boonmi, if you want to add even more context, feel free. Do you have any insights around leveraging wigs as part of your style and personal brand?
I'm going to be super, super honest. I've actually not worked with anybody that we did wigs, but hey, I mean, why not? It can be an accessory, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. And I think sometimes we don't realize how powerful accessories are, and it's part of who you are. Yeah. I have actually a good friend I just kind of talk about that utilizes wigs all the time. And I look at it as her accessory.
That's how I would see it too. I think it's another thing to change up your look, just like changing up your hair color or anything else. So I think that's a fun one. We have another question coming from Paulina. Her style is classy, but she wants to look a little bit more edgy, but remain kind of keeping that elegant feel. What is your advice around a little bit of adding some edginess to your wardrobe?
So I have a lot of gals that kind of comes up. So it might be a little moto jacket, using V's, and I don't know what you're currently doing, but V's in your silhouette. It could be angles in like a collar. It could be angles in a dress. Anything, think about edgy as angles. It could be leather. That's a great, easy one. I mean, even if taken like your little shell there, a little black dress, I personally love leather, and I love adding that edginess to that classic kind of look.
I love those suggestions. I have to say that I have a black moto jacket that I wear all winter long, and it goes with so many different things. I love it so much I ended up buying it in camel color too, because I was like, I need it in every color. But I think that's a really fun, classic, like timeless, edgy piece to add to any woman's wardrobe that's fun and sexy, but still looks polished and together.
Yes.
Annette, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share or leave as parting advice for those of us who have joined us?
I've loved our conversation. It's been wonderful. And I guess I just can't emphasize it enough about the awareness. I believe that our beauty comes from within, and that every woman is beautiful, and to really begin honoring that and what might that look like on the outside. Because when this goes into a psychological, but when we love ourselves, that's what's being mirrored to the world, and people feel us when we walk into a room. And so that awareness and how you want to represent yourself, and just begin to own you and stop looking to the outside to are.
I think that is excellent parting words to share with everyone. That was really, I think, the biggest takeaway for me is really understanding how I want to present myself, who I am, how I feel about myself, and find a way to share that through the clothing, my makeup, my hairstyle, all of that. And I think the advice that you've shared with our audience is, I mean, everyone should be able to implement at least one or two of the tips that you've thrown out there. There's been so many. So, again, thank you everyone for joining us. Feel free to reach out to Annette or I if you have questions or would like to have a consult, or you'd like to get a hold of that awesome guide that Annette has. Definitely go to her website, AnnetteBond.com. Annette, a huge thank you and a hug from Florida for having you join us this afternoon. I've loved our conversation. Annette joined us from Montana, folks. She's not even at home. She's remote right now and still came to have this conversation. So
Working with
you
a
so
client.
much.
Yeah.
And working with the client. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you next month on September 22nd at noon for the next Ask Kate Anything. Stay tuned for the announcement of our next guest, which is coming up shortly on my LinkedIn profile. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and weekend. See you soon.
Bye-bye.